Good morning, children. So, we have done two parts of this particular chapter, not exactly chapter, but the whole unit itself. We have done about non-human and non-human resources, their classification, and we have learnt about them. And then we have also discussed the community resources and how to conserve those. Now, today in this third part, we are going to do management process. So, in this part, we are going to cover what is management, the process of management, and decision making. These are the 3 points which we are going to cover under management process. Now, what do we understand by management? No, it's a very simple thing. Managing anything in a proper manner is management, to be very simple. But let us look at the definition. What does the definition says? It says the process to utilize what you already have and to achieve what you require. Whatever we have, we need, whatever we need, we achieve that. Okay. So, the success of management lies in the proper utilization and exploitation of the available resources. Whatever resources are available with us, within that resources, we try to manage to achieve the goals, whatever goal we have set. And as we know, this includes both human and non-human resource. How? Human resource is energy, time, all that, and non-human resource, main non-human resource is money, which we require to accomplish any goal. Now, if we look at home management, the home management deals with the application of the principles of management in the home. Whatever the management principles are there, we apply them in the home, and the homemaker tries to utilize the family resources, that too in a planned manner, because everything has to be, management means planned, everything has to be in planned manner. And to do this, the homemaker should have the adequate knowledge of various ways to exploit all the resources available to her. Naturally, until unless she has the knowledge, how will she acquire her goal? She won't be able to. If she doesn't have the knowledge of all the resources, she won't be able to manage. So, a housewife has to have the knowledge of all the resources which are available to her, like time, money, energy. So, all this has to be utilized in a proper manner, in a planned manner. So, if we look at home management, then according to, there's a great author of home management, and he says, his name is Nicholas Dorsey. Now, what does he says about home management? He says home management is planning, organizing, controlling, and evaluating the use of resources available to the family for the purpose of attaining family goals. So, this is it. That, of course, the steps which you studied in the previous chapters, that planning, organizing, controlling, and evaluating are the steps there whenever we are doing something, to use whatever resources are available to us, and only then the goal can be achieved. And when we learn about management, that how we should manage our resources to achieve goals, there's a question which arises in everybody's mind. Why do we need? What is the need of management? Why can't we go just like that and do our work and achieve our goals? No, we need to have management. Why? Because it makes us realize the available resources and their limitation. We know that what resources we have and up to what level we can use those resources. Suppose I want to buy a sari for the coming wedding in the family. Now, my available resources in the form of money are limited. When I go to the shop, I see dresses or saris, whatever I want to buy, beyond my capacity, beyond my available resource. I have some amount of money within which I'm not able to buy that particular thing which I am liking. So it has made me realize that my available resources are this much and they are limited. So within this limit, only I have to buy whatever I want to buy. I have to achieve my goal only within this much of money. Then secondly, it helps in determining long-term and short-term goals. When we manage things, when we plan a thing, we know that this thing is going to be achieved in a long time. This thing can be achieved in a short time. Like you have the whole year to pass one class, that is a long-term goal. You have short-term goals in the form of unit test, half yearlies, those are short-term goals. So accordingly you study. When your finals come, you study in a different way. When your short-term goals like unit exams are there, your syllabus is short, you can finish it in a very short time. But for your long-term goals, that is your final exam, you have to study seriously and for a longer time. Third, through management we realize goals and we have to prioritize them and plan through judicious decision making so that the goal is attained by using minimum time, energy and money. Now we know what our goals are, but we have to set them priority wise. What is the most important goal? We have to keep it first. What is little less important? That will be second. And least important can take the place of, can be kept at third place. Then we have to plan. Like first priority is this. So I plan accordingly. Like my unit tests are close by. I have only 1 week left for that. That means my first priority is to study for my unit test. I will forget about all the other things and look for my notes, look for my preparation, look into the books, look for my syllabus and start studying. Taking judicious decision means I'll decide which thing I should first study first, which subject I find difficult, I should try to finish that first, which subject I like, I can keep it for the later on the third place because I know that I can study that easily. So this is how we make very correct decisions and we attain our goals. At the same time, we manage time, energy as well as money. Of course, giving exam, money is not involved, but time, energy is yet also involved. Then fourthly, all the members become the part of management and also develop their abilities. When we have some family goal to be achieved, naturally every member of the family becomes part of it, and whatever they are doing, they also develop the abilities to do that work. Suppose somebody is kneading the dough for the first time. A young girl in the family, she hasn't touched the flour, but now she has the chance because she has been asked to knead the dough, so she will learn. She is developing her ability. Or it can be anything else, decorating the house, cleaning the house. So this is how every family member also develop abilities. We learn to look for alternative resources to attain the goals. Suppose one alternative which we have chosen to attain our goals is not available, then we look for another source, another resource, and we use that resource to attain our goal. Provides mental satisfaction and raises the living standard of the family. Of course, once we achieve the goal, it provides a great mental satisfaction, and once we achieve the goal, naturally we have brought the living standard slightly on a raised platform. So that is the need for management. That is why we need management. Okay. So if we look at the management process or process of management, these are the 5 important areas where we have to manage everything. We have to show our management skills. First of all, we have to plan. Whatever we are going to do, we have to plan. Then we have to organize our resources, our abilities, our skills, everything to complete that plan. Then we have to implement, we have to come into action, we have to take action to do those things. Then when we are taking action, we have to control the actions to see whether we are not going out of the way, we are not going out of the planning, or if there is any difficulty in planning, what we should do. And last is to evaluate whatever we had planned, have we achieved that or have we not? If we have not achieved, what was the problem? So that next time when we plan such a goal, we can always sort out that problem in the first step only. So these are the 5 steps of management process. And the management process with the help of, now we will see the management process with the help of family resources. Now how we use family resources, we have human and non-human resources both, and when we use both the resources together, we get the satisfaction of personal values and also achieve our goals. So now we'll look at the steps in detail. The very first step was planning. Now this is the very first step of management, and all the other steps will only depend upon planning. If our planning is correct and proper, then we are definite to achieve success. So planning can be defined as, planning is framing the outlines of the future activities in order to attain the desired goal. What we do, we plan the outlines of the activity which we are going to conduct in future, so that when we conduct that, since we have planned, we are sure to attain the desired goals. Whatever goals we have kept, we will definitely attain them. Next, we look at the characteristics of planning. What are the basic characteristics of planning? Now, the very first one is that planning is always done beforehand. That everyone knows that we have to plan anything beforehand. We cannot do that, we start conducting the activity and then we start planning. No, we have to plan it first and then only the activity will take place. The resources need to be planned. For example, human and non-human resources. That I have given you example. Like if I have to buy something, I have to see how much non-human resources, how much money do I have, and human resource, I'll have to spend my energy and time to go to the market to get that thing. So combination of both the human and non-human resources will only help me to achieve my goals. So they have to be also planned. It is a continuous mental process. Planning goes on every time, everywhere. So mentally we have to keep planning things for future and keep acting accordingly. The planning should always be flexible. Now whatever we are planning should not be very strict, should not be very rigid. We should always keep a next plan open for us, a second plan open for us, or a similar plan open for us. Suppose the plan which we have made, at some point of time, if we find obstructions there, hindrances there, so that if the plan gets stuck at some point of time, we can always change. We can always go to the backup plan. Various stages of planning need to be interrelated. Whatever planning we have done, the stages have to be related to each other. We cannot do the first step and then straight away reach to the fifth step, or do the fifth step first and then do the first step. It is not possible. So they have to be in sequence and they have to be interrelated. Now, what are the various steps in planning? First of all, we have to identify the goal or the aim which we have to achieve. First, we have to know exactly what is my goal, what do I want to achieve. Then second step will be to check the resources. That do I have the resources available to me to achieve this goal. Then decision making is to realize when, where, and how to use the resources in a judicious manner to achieve the goals. Naturally, I have to make a decision that these are the resources, these are my plans, this is the goal which I have to achieve. So, when should I use which resource? Where I'm supposed to use these resources, because the resources are different, can be human, can be non-human, and how should I use them in a very wise manner so that I'm able to achieve the goals. Now, the next area of management process is organization. Now, what do we mean by organization? It is to arrange the things in a manner so that every activity can take place smoothly. So, if I try to define organization, it is a process of combining and coordinating work of the family members with the resources necessary for its execution. I will combine and coordinate the work along with my family members, because we are talking about home management basically, and I will take the resources which are required to complete that work, to carry out that work. Now, what can be the steps in organization? The very first step will be coordination. Coordination between resources available and the individual efforts to use them are required. Suppose I have resources available, but I don't have the energy to use those resources, then those resources are useless. On the other hand, I have the energy, but I don't have the resources, then also my energy is of no use. So, the available resources, at that same time individual effort has to be there to organize the things. Secondly, distribution of the work should be according to the interest and capabilities of the individuals to get the best result. Now, when I'm distributing, or the person who's head of the family is distributing the work, it should be given to each member according to their interest and according to their capabilities. What their interests are, in which kind of task they are interested, and what kind of capability the members of the family have. Accordingly, it should be distributed. So, when we finish the planning, when we reach the goal, we realize that we are able to get the best results. Time is the biggest factor of organization. Naturally, organization takes time, so we have to watch for time. Limited resources to be used in the best possible manner, and also wastage should be avoided. When we are organizing, we should always think that we have limited resources. We have to use these resources in the best possible manner so that we can get most out of it. And at the same time, we should not waste these resources. If we are wasting these resources, then there is no sense of organizing it. Then the third step of management process is implementation. We have done already these steps, but as a home management, I am repeating you these steps again. Implementation means putting the plan into action. Or one can say that planning is actually to put it into practice. We have planned so many things, but until unless we put them into practice, we will not be able to achieve the goal. So I've been planning to study. Yes, I will start from today. I will start from tomorrow. I will start from day after. But if I'm not putting that plan into action, then it is of no use. Then I won't be able to start my study anytime. Now, if I try to define implementation, it means the execution of a plan which has been already made or already chalked out. Now, the next step of home management process is controlling. Now, if I define controlling means it involves careful observation of the activities. When the work is going on, it has been planned, it has been organized, it has been implemented. So when the implementation starts taking place, every step has to be observed very carefully. So the steps or the factors which are required in controlling, what steps one should take. Inspection, the very first thing. Through inspection, one can bring out the drawbacks of the planning stage. This helps in preventing the misuse of resources. So, as the activity begins, if the person whose plan is there that starts inspecting at every stage, what will happen? He or she will be able to find out what are the drawbacks, what are the difficulties, what are the things which have gone slightly wrong or more wrong at the planning stage itself. So that at this stage that can be prevented and the resources can be saved from being wasted. Guidance and motivation. So every member who's working is must especially for the people who are striving to achieve the goal. Guidance and motivation is very necessary for such people. Intermediate goals also help to motivate a person to achieve the main goal. Now, intermediate goals means small goals, short term goals in between to reach a main goal. Like I told you, I gave you the example long and short term goals. Long term goal is to pass the class, and short term goals are like intermediate goals, which are kept like unit tests. You have 2 to 3 unit tests, you have half yearly, and you gain marks, and then finally the total along with your final exam or your main goal, you get so many good marks that you pass your class in a good result. So these are the intermediate goals. They also help to motivate a person. Suppose if one intermediate goal like first unit test went well for you, you get good marks, you will be happy. Then second or half yearly, you again get good marks, it will motivate you to study more harder. Guidance should be according to the capabilities of the person. Naturally, if the person is capable, the guidance will work with him. But if the person is not capable or has slightly less capabilities, the guidance should be accordingly given to him. Third step in controlling is adjustment. Now, what do we mean by adjustment? When we put plan into action, we come across many hindrances. Then it is best to change the plan slightly, or modify the plan in such a way so that all the hindrances can be removed. So this will be called adjustment. We are trying to adjust because the plan which we had made is not working anymore. There are hindrances to complete and to reach the goal. So we can, to remove those hindrances, we can just modify our plan, change our planning little bit to achieve the goal. So that is the reason. In the beginning, I said planning should be flexible. That is the reason that the planning should be flexible, so that if there is a backup plan, we can always depend upon that plan and continue without any hindrance or without any disruption, and quickly, easily achieve our goal. This is how we come to the last step, and that is called evaluation. Means we'll check back that whatever work we have done, are we able to achieve the goal according to the plan which we had made in the initial stages. Evaluation makes a critical analysis of drawbacks, failure, or the modification if made in the plan, so that the improvement can be made in the new upcoming plan. Now, when we evaluate means we come to know what were our drawbacks, why did we fail, if at all we failed, in whatever we are doing, not necessarily your studies only. Then what all modifications we made, and did we succeed after making the modifications, so that when we are planning The same thing for the second time. We can make that changes in the planning itself so that our plan goes successfully. Now, evaluation is of two types. If we look at the evaluation, it is of two types. First is relative evaluation. It means we evaluate the whole thing by comparing it to the earlier plan. If we had done the same activity earlier, then this time when we have done the same activity, we plan it with the activity done earlier and try to see that whether we were more successful or not. Then second is absolute evaluation. Now it is done on the basis of goals achieved. Whatever goals we had set up while planning, have we achieved those properly or not, successfully or not, and there is no comparison with the previous planning or previous activity. Then if we look at the evaluation process, it should have so many points which should be covered or checked. Goal achieved on time or not. When we have planned, have we achieved the goal on a time, the time period which we gave to that activity to achieve the goal? In case it is not, then what are the reasons behind? If we had given, say, about 7 days to achieve that plan, achieve that activity, reach our goal, but if we are not able to complete it on the 7th day, we take 2 more days, we complete it on the 9th day, then why? What were the reasons behind? What were the drawbacks? Where did we lack? What we could not do properly? We have to evaluate in this manner. Was it executed according to the plan? Did we execute the whole thing, whole activity according to the planning? The steps, each step was taken according to the planning. But in case if it was not, then what were the causes? If we were not able to plan, if we were not able to go according to the planned activity, then why? What were the causes behind? If there were any causes, were they removed or not? And if at the time of controlling, did we find any drawbacks which were hindering the activity, which were causing the drawbacks? Were we able to remove those causes or not? Then were there any changes? In case any changes were made, then did the changes brought any success or not? Now suppose when we were there in the implementation stage, we found that we are not able to implement certain steps because there is some difficulty. So we made changes. As I told you, the planning has to be flexible. So we made some modification, some changes so that we can reach the goal, we can attain our goal successfully. So whatever changes we made, did these changes helped us to reach the goal or not? So this is how evaluation process takes place. There are more points in this. So we have seen the 5 different steps of management, which starts from planning and ends at evaluation. But there is one important thing which is very helpful in each step, at each step of management, that is decision making. Now, decision making process and its importance in management. Why it is important in management process. Now, management process just cannot go ahead, cannot take a flight without decision making, because the success of management depends totally upon the wise decision making. So, decision making can be defined as decision making involves selection of the best course of action from the various alternatives for solving the problem. So, when we look at the problem, we see many options in front of it, then we have to make the decision, a wise decision, a judicious decision that which alternative will make me reach the goal in a quickest manner with less use of resources, less use of time, energy, and at the same time, I will be able to achieve my goal. So, this is the importance of decision making. If I have chosen the correct alternative, naturally everything will go fine and I'll be able to reach my goal very quickly. So, decision making is actually a mental process, and there are steps which have to be followed when we are making any decision. Now, the various steps in decision making are, first of all, identifying the problem or locating the problem or recognizing the problem. That is the first step. We must know what is the problem in front of us or what is the goal which we want to achieve. Then identifying the alternatives. One may have to search through the various options available to find the best alternative which can help in solving the problem. Now, once we have realized the problem or realized that this is my goal which I have to achieve, then we have to see the alternatives. That is this the way I can achieve my goal in the best manner? No, this is not the way. Is this the way? Is this the correct alternative which I should choose to achieve my goals in a quick manner and spending less time, energy, and resources? Or are there any other alternatives from which I can choose the best alternative? Here, this is a very important part of decision making. Evaluating the consequences of each alternative. Then, once the alternatives are in front of me, I should evaluate each alternative and try to reach the consequences. See, if I take this alternative, I may not be able to reach my goal. There may be hindrances at the time of organizing. Or if I pick up the second one, there may be problems at the time of implementing it. So, this is how I have to evaluate in my mind the consequences of all the alternatives. Once I have seen or evaluated in my mind the consequences or the results of each alternative, then I can select the best because I have seen each alternative and found that this is the best alternative available to me. Because I have seen the advantages and the disadvantages of each alternative. And then only I have selected the best alternative, the best suited alternative for my plan. So, in the next step, as I have already told you, in fact, that select the best alternative. Now, it is a mental exercise. I told you that you have to think mentally, visualize mentally that what are the different alternatives, and I choose few best options. And in the second phase, first I choose the few best options, say about 4 or 5 of the best options I have chosen. Then in the second stage, I have to finalize them. Then again I visualize those 4 or 5 best options, visualize them and finalize the alternative which I want to adopt or which I want to use. Because that alternative has all the factors to solve my problems, or that alternative is definitely going to make me reach or make me achieve my goal. Last point is accepting the consequences of the decision. Once I make the decision, I have so many options available to me. From those, I choose some and then visualize those some of them again and again and choose the best alternative. And after that, once my plan has started, I have organized everything, I have implemented my plan, reached my goal or could not reach my goal, I should be able to accept the consequences of whatever decision I took. In case the selected alternative suits the best and solves the problem, then everything is fine and the decision making process is complete. Yes, because I have reached my goal, so my decision was correct. But in case if the selected option does not bring the desired results, whatever option I selected, I was not able to reach my goal. I had to face many hindrances. Then what should I do? I should readily accept the consequences of the decision because that was my own decision. This kind of failure prepares an individual to be more watchful and cautious for the next time. When I see that I have whatever decision I made did not work out for me, I could not reach my goal, I could not attain my goal, so what will it teach me? This failure will prepare me for the next planning, for the next goal achievement. So that whatever mistakes I made this time, I will not repeat those mistakes again. So that is why it is said that intelligence, knowledge, and experience are the three pillars of decision making. Okay, so with this, I have finished with the management process. In the next chapter, we'll see other things. I think it will be time and energy management.